400,000 variations of the Bible. Not two of those variations agree with each other. And there are more variations of the Bible than there are words in the New Testament. If I remember correctly, every single one of them is corrupted at some point. All of what I just said is completely true, but I didn't really add the context to it. I didn't really add anything to it. And that's how Bart Ehrman, on his book Misquoting Jesus, which I have here, not that you can see that, that's how he wrote the whole thing, is by not adding the context. And that makes people think, the Bible's been completely lost, and he repeats that, and people think that. And the book is true. It's a true book. Pretty much cover to cover, it's speaking truth, but it's not adding the context. So what is a variation? I have a brisk iced tea here that I just drank, and which is good. They're not like sponsoring me or anything. That might be kind of nice. But I have a brisk tea. If I said brisk iced tea is really good and wrote it on some whiteboard and had 10 people copy it, maybe someone would miss, maybe someone put a really good in there or something instead of brisk iced tea is good, or maybe brisk tea is good or something. But would that be so would that sentence be lost? No, the sentence would be preserved because most of the people that wrote it down are the right ones. Because most of the people that wrote, brisk iced tea is good versus the one person that says brisk tea is good, which do you think is right? The majority, because the one guy kind of got it wrong a little bit. Okay, let's make that bigger. Let's say, I have 100 people write that, and let's say 20 of them are wrong, and say brisk tea is good. That's 80 people that say brisk iced tea is good. So which is right? The majority, because the 20 people didn't quite get it right. Or let's say I think a more accurate representation would be 20 people say something that's not, like brisk iced tea is good. Just, brisk tea is good. Brisk iced tea is very good, So what, is it lost? Is the statement lost? No, we have the 80 people that say that are in agreement, and then the 20 people that aren't in agreement. So it's pretty clear. We just discard the 20 people that aren't. And that's how that works. Let's say I have 400,000 people there copying that down. I'm going to get, the more people I have, the more variation I'm going to get. Let's say I have 400,000 people. Let's say 100,000 people write it wrong. It's a simple statement. There probably wouldn't be a whole lot of people writing it wrong. But let's say that's the case. Which is true? The ones that don't say that, or the ones that say brisk iced tea is good? The ones that say brisk iced tea is good, because even then, there's a fourth missing. A fourth. That's not a game changer. If there was 50-50 or something, that would be a game changer. But there's not. Do you see what I'm saying? Let's say I had 244,000 people copying To Kill a Mockingbird. Do you think that every single, 400,000 people copying To Kill a Mockingbird, do you think I would have every single one of them in complete agreement? Wouldn't that be absolutely insane that not a single person out of those 400,000 100,000 people got even a period missing or a word out of order or anything. That's insane. So when you have the Bible, what happened is every single time there's a period missing or a word missing, that's a variation. And it technically is, because it's not 100% perfect, so that's a variation. Technically speaking, because this Bible has, one word gone, and this one has one word gone, and we can look at all of them and see that the majority of them say, this one thing, and the others don't. And that's how that works for books of this age. You've got the Odyssey and the Iliad. I forget which one, but I believe one of them has like 67% preservation. 67%. 67% agreement with the manuscripts. But not a single scholar questions that was preserved. You know why that is? Because 67% of the manuscripts agree with each other. And the other 33%, they can just ditch. Because they don't agree with they don't agree with these. So of course they're in the minority. So of course we ditch the minority of them because they don't agree. So it was probably, someone making some mistakes. Make sense? I hope this is making sense. I think I'll put Mike Winger's video about this down below if someone needs something a little more in depth. But yeah, so that's how they do that with the Bible. If the majority of them are in agreement, they can look at them and be like, all right, the majority of them are in agreement. We have the book, To Kill a Mockingbird. If the majority of it is in agreement and the one book is missing, a chapter, or let's say 30% of the books are missing this chapter, whatever. We can look at the majority or add this into it, or we can look at the majority and see what's true. Because the other people were just making mistakes. And that's how we got the Bible. So there's variations, and a corruption is one thing slightly different. One word missing. That's a corruption. If I have a copy of To Kill a Mockingbird and a word is gone, that's technically a corruption of the book. In scholarly terms. Not in common speech, but in scholarly terms. And that's how they do that. So 400,000 people copied the Bible over and over. I think that we have today. Or that we had by the time the Bible was written. 400,000 people copy it. And do you know how? And the majority of them were in agreement as to what it said, so they ditched the rest of it because they were mistakes and stuff. And do you know how much agreement the Bible manuscripts have? 99.9%. Most of them are word orders not being in the right spot. Like this, this word is not in. I'm zoning out. In Hebrew you can have one sentence, Jesus loved Paul, for example, and it can be written 16 different ways. In 16 different word orders, doesn't change the meaning. So when you have a variation, you have a different word order a lot of times. And then I think you have like a period missing, something like that. And I believe that is most of them. Then, you'll have a word here or there missing. But of course they can tell which is the right one, because this variation has this one word, and these however many others don't have that word. So clearly that one's right. So they do that, and most scholars don't count any of those things as actual variations. That, that's so really the amount of variations actually in the Bible, many, many fewer than 400,000. And even with those variations that are meaningful, nothing is lost, really. Not really. This thing's still on. Yeah. I occasionally wonder. Not really was anything lost. Even it, depending on what it is. And with those variations, they're still in the minority of like, negative 1% of disagreement with the majority. So even then you can tell. So yeah, so Bart Ehrman did write a whole book about something that was technically true. He just didn't add anything. Just didn't add the context. So yeah. I hope that makes sense. I'll leave a video link if it doesn't, and you need more detail. Yeah.